Resilience. It's a buzzword we hear all the time, but what if I told you that our ability to bounce back isn't just a personality trait, but a skill we can actually cultivate and strengthen? Today, we're diving into a book that challenges everything we thought we knew about overcoming adversity.
Oh, that's fascinating. You've definitely piqued my interest. What's this book that's turning our understanding of resilience on its head?
Well, it's called From Ashes to Dominion Rising Above Adversity and Claiming Your Sovereignty by Dr. Jonathan Chuma. And let me tell you, it's not your typical self help book. It takes a deep dive into the science of resilience and offers practical strategies for not just surviving life's challenges, but actually thriving in the face of them.
Hmm, that sounds like it could be really powerful. So, what makes this book stand out from all the other resilience literature out there?
Great question. What really struck me is how Dr. Chuma combines cutting edge neuroscience with ancient wisdom traditions. For instance, he talks about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new neural connections throughout life, and how we can actually rewire our brains to be more resilient. But he also draws on concepts like the Buddhist idea of impermanence to help us navigate change and loss.
Wow, that's a unique approach. So, it's not just about positive thinking, but actually changing our brain structure?
Exactly. And here's where it gets really interesting. Dr. Chuma cites a study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that found that people who view stress as a challenge rather than a threat not only perform better under pressure, but also show healthier cardiovascular responses. It's all about perspective.
That's incredible. It reminds me of something I read about post traumatic growth. The idea that some people actually become stronger and more resilient after experiencing trauma. Is that something the book touches on?
Absolutely. In fact, there's an entire chapter dedicated to what Dr. Chuma calls From Ashes to Bloom. He references research by psychologists Richard Tedeschi and Lawrence Calhoun, who found that 60 to 80% of trauma survivors report some form of positive change or growth as a result of their experiences. It's not about minimizing the pain, but about recognizing our capacity for growth and transformation.
That's really encouraging. So what kind of practical strategies does the book offer for cultivating this kind of resilience?
Well, one of the key techniques Dr. Chuma emphasizes is mindfulness meditation. He cites a study from the journal Psychiatry Research that found that just 8 weeks of mindfulness practice can actually increase gray matter density in brain regions associated with learning, memory, emotion regulation, and perspective taking. It's like a gym workout for your brain's resilience muscles.
Oh, that's fascinating. I've heard a lot about mindfulness, but I had no idea it could have such a profound impact on our brain structure. Are there any other practical tools the book recommends?
Absolutely. Another powerful technique Dr. Chuma discusses is gratitude practice. He references a study from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology that found that people who kept a daily gratitude journal for just 2 weeks reported significantly higher levels of optimism and life satisfaction. It's a simple practice, but it can have a profound impact on our overall resilience and well being.
That's really interesting. It's making me think about how we often focus on big, dramatic changes when we're trying to improve our lives. But it sounds like these small daily practices can be just as powerful. And
Exactly. And that's one of the key messages of the book. It's not about making huge overnight transformations, it's about taking small, consistent steps towards building our resilience. Dr. Chuma uses the analogy of compound interest, just like small financial investments can grow into significant wealth over time. Small investments in our mental and emotional well being can lead to profound changes in our resilience and overall life satisfaction.
I love that analogy. It makes the whole process feel much more manageable. So, does the book talk about how we can apply these principles in our daily lives?
Absolutely. One of the things I really appreciate about this book is how practical it is. Dr. Chuma provides a wealth of exercises and reflection questions at the end of each chapter. For example, he suggests starting each day with a resilience ritual, a combination of mindfulness meditation, gratitude journaling, and positive affirmations. He also emphasizes the importance of building a strong support network, citing research that shows social support is one of the strongest predictors of resilience.
That makes a lot of sense. I think sometimes when we're going through tough times, we tend to isolate ourselves. but it sounds like that's exactly when we need to reach out to others.
You're absolutely right. And that leads us to another key point in the book, the importance of vulnerability. Dr. Chuma challenges the idea that resilience means never showing weakness. Instead, he argues that true resilience comes from being able to acknowledge our struggles and ask for help when we need it. He quotes Brene Brown saying, "Vulnerability is not winning or losing. It's having the courage to show up and be seen when we have no control over the outcome."
That's such a powerful quote. It really shifts the way we think about strength and resilience, doesn't it?
It really does. And I think that's what makes this book so transformative. It's not just about bouncing back from adversity, it's about using our challenges as catalysts for growth and self discovery. Dr. Chuma talks about the concept of post traumatic growth, the idea that we can actually become stronger and more resilient as a result of our struggles.
That's really inspiring. You know, as we're talking about this, I can't help but think about some of the challenges I've faced in my own life. There have definitely been times when I felt like I was in those proverbial ashes. But looking back, I can see how those experiences shaped me and made me stronger.
Exactly. And that's the power of reframing our narratives. Dr. Chuma talks about the importance of storytelling and building resilience. He suggests that by reframing our challenges as opportunities for growth, we can actually change the way we experience adversity. It's not about denying the pain or difficulty of our experiences, but about recognizing our own strength and capacity for growth.
Well, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's like we're not just passive recipients of what happens to us, but active participants in shaping our own stories.
Absolutely. And that leads us to one of the most powerful concepts in the book, the idea of sovereignty. Dr. Chuma defines sovereignty as the ability to respond to life's challenges with wisdom, compassion, and personal power. It's about recognizing that while we can't always control what happens to us, we always have a choice in how we respond.
That's really empowering. So, as we wrap up our discussion, what do you think is the most important takeaway from this book?
That's a great question. I think for me, the most powerful message is that resilience isn't something we're born with or without. It's a skill we can cultivate and strengthen over time. Dr. Chuma quotes Viktor Frankl, who said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom." It's a reminder that no matter what challenges we face, we always have the power to choose how we respond.
That's beautiful. And it's a message I think a lot of our listeners could benefit from, especially in these challenging times.
Absolutely. And I hope this discussion has inspired our listeners to explore their own resilience and sovereignty. Remember, everyone, no matter what storms you're facing in your life right now, you have the power to rise above them and create a life of purpose and fulfillment. It's not always easy, but as this book shows, it's always possible.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up. Thanks for joining us on Gen FM, where we explore the stories that shape our lives. Until next time, keep rising, keep growing, and keep claiming your sovereignty.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And remember, resilience isn't about never falling down, it's about always getting back up. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you next time on Gen FM.